So this is the first session of Making the Most of Word Work, Phonological Awareness, and High Frequency Words. And every time we start a presentation in BCSD, we always think about our vision, our mission, our values, and how when we write these, any PD or any presentation, we think about how these serve all of those things. And we also think about how it addresses our core priorities. And the core priority that this most closely aligns with is teaching and learning. So we're going to be really thinking about our teaching and how we can maximize and make our the students' learning the most efficient and effective that we can be when it comes to working with and learning all about words. So the norms are the same, I think, as they've been for past, except for this one, Zoom from campus. I understand that's the agreement, like on weekdays we have to Zoom from campus. I'm at the district office. So I ask that you just kind of stay on mute, that you have your camera on, and if you have an issue, just kind of let me or Alicia know privately. And then if you could put your full name, rename your full name on your screen, that makes it really easy for payroll and things like that. And then use the chat if you have a question. And Alicia Ariel, I put her kind of on the spot. She's my, she's gonna be my facilitator. So you can also privately message Alicia. And that I ask for your positivity and your patience as we kind of go through this series together. So my name is Jennifer Castro Barnes, and I work in curriculum and instruction. And second grade is one of my favorite grades to teach. And this series is for first and second grade teachers right now. And so this session that you're in is for second grade. And so Stephanie Berry is running the other session, and she's running it for first grade, but you'll see there's many similarities because second grade is basically a spiraling of first grade when it comes to word work and word study. You signed up for this, and it is a series of sessions. So today's our first one, Phonological Awareness and High Frequency Words. We're going to meet again November 4th, and that's when we're going to talk about phonics and spelling. Then we're going to talk about text reading, how our word study supports our text reading. That's November 30th. And then finally, January 6th, we're going to talk about how you can make the most of your BAS in helping inform and helping you craft your word study work with your students. So we're going to start off with just kind of a little one-page read. And this is our framework. And it is linked, I'm going to drop the link to today's presentation in the chat. So this is the link to today's presentation. If you want to click on that and make a copy, I'll just drop it in again because I think I just saw someone come in. So this is the presentation. If you go to this slide in the presentation, you're going to click on this link, and it's going to open to page 28 right here. In our framework, there's just a one-pager on phonological awareness. So we'll take about just 3 minutes and kind of read this. And what I'd like you to think about as you're reading it is think about what is known to you and what information is new. So just kind of what stands out for you, what confirms what you know, and what is new to you. So I'll set my timer for about 3 minutes. You're welcome to turn your screen off as you're reading this page. It's up to you. And then about 3 minutes, we'll come back together and talk in the chat about what is known and what is new.
How do you get to that link again?
So you should come, do you see the presentation link in the chat? It's the one that I think it's JTV.
Yes, I have it. Mm-hmm.
You click on that and then get into the presentation. And I think this is the 5th or 6th slide in the presentation. And then you just click on this book, the framework, and it'll open it up right to the page.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Danielle. About 30 more seconds to finish up your reading. Okay, so if you turned off your screen to go ahead and read, you can go ahead and turn back on and join us, and go ahead and put in the chat a few things that, or something that either was something that was known to you or something that was new. You can just drop that in the chat. So Angie said children don't develop phonological awareness in a specific order. That definitely stood out to me. Kindergarten skills have to be strong, that pre-reading, rhyming, blending, segmentation, and deletion of phonemes are something that's in a curriculum called Hegarty. What's known is students develop phonological skills in different order than the list of easiest to hardest. Phonological awareness is a known thing to you. And then sound play is good. That's right. Playing with sounds is the best way to develop phonological awareness. Blending and segmenting are two important skills. Having a language-rich environment, and teachers tailor to their students by providing explicit exposure. All of those things were similar to the things that I was kind of stood out to me. I thought that idea that it's a multi-dimensional continuum. It's like larger units are easier to learn in general, and the smaller the units of sound get, the harder they are, but they also don't learn them or develop an awareness about them in any kind of order. It's kind of on the child's timetable. And And then I think the other thing that stood out to me is formative assessment. I think it was it Alyssa that said something about sound play, like playing with sounds? Was it you, Alyssa? That those types of experiences can inform us about where our students are in their awareness of phonology and understanding. So thank you, guys. And then, oh, Laura said, yeah, rhyme is listed as least difficult. I know, Laura, that is always like, huh? Because rhyme for some children comes easily, and for some children, it is a real sticking point. And being able to hear it, I think, is different than being able to match a rhyme or articulate a rhyme. And so I think even within that skill, there's different layers of ease and complexity. So, but I agree, like rhyme is always like teaching kindergarten and first grade and second grade. It was like, oh my goodness, why is this listed first? But I also think it kind of has something to do with language, and this slide that we're going to talk about right now, which is really, oh, you know what, friends? I think I skipped a slide. There we go. We're going to stick with our learning intention and criteria. So in this training for this session today, we're going to just talk about the role that developing phonological awareness and having high frequency words takes in a balanced literacy approach. And then we're going to just kind of practice and apply strategies. Some of these strategies may be very known to you. Some of them might be new to you. It depends on your experience. So this is a bit of an overview, and then just kind of looking at some different sources that we've been looking at that have been writing about phonological awareness and phonics and word study, and how we can build in some of those strategies and maybe rethink our word study approaches to make it more efficient, engaging, and effective. And so over here, we have these 3 circles that kind of represent each dimension of balanced literacy. And in this middle, where it all overlaps, that's where language really lies. So, you know, we've talked a lot about reading in our district. We've had, some of you might have been in the writing sessions we did a couple of years ago. And this year we're living in this little bubble right here. So we're talking about word work, spelling, phonics, and just how words work in general and the patterns that we see. So with phonological awareness, it's one of the skills that our students kind of is an indicator, like if it's in place for a child, it kind of indicates that they're ready for reading. So it indicates that readiness, but it's not alone as an indicator of readiness. With phonological awareness comes oral language, comes beginning writing, and their comfort with writing and using utensils on paper, and letter knowledge as well. All of those things are pre-reading skills. And so one thing I would say is none of these are like, we can't say if they have phonological awareness, then they're going to be a reader. It's really if they have phonological awareness and oral language and have a level of comfort with beginning writing and have letter knowledge. Those are the things that indicate readiness for reading and are going to make it much easier for them to take on new skills. So I like to say it's not an if then they can do this, but it's an if and also they need blah. So sometimes phonological awareness can be overlooked in a classroom. Maybe there's someone who doesn't really know kind of the role that plays as a pre-reading skill, and so maybe it's overlooked. But sometimes phonological awareness is overemphasized to a fault, and sometimes at the sacrifice of these other pre-reading skills. So we're gonna kind of talk about an approach to phonological awareness and how it fits kind of in a balanced approach and understanding of what it takes to get our children's brains ready for reading. So in preparing this presentation, we're thinking about like just defining phonological awareness. And this may be a review for many of you, and some it is not. But just to kind of quickly cover this, phonological awareness is like an umbrella term that kind of includes hearing and manipulating sound structures in language. So that's the word level, the syllable level. It includes onset and rhyme. It's when we're saying, oh, clock has one syllable. It's a word. It has 5 letters. Those things are phonological awareness. And within that is phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness sits under that broad umbrella of phonological awareness, but phonemic awareness is this specialized area of phonological awareness that really involves language at the single phoneme level or the single unit of sound. So that would be when thinking of the word clock. We know that we can take apart the individual sounds, k, l, ah, k. We know that we can blend those sounds together to say clock. And I know that clock ends with the k sound, has an ah sound. So it's thinking about individual units of sound. We put like a little gold box around here to kind of just show again that these kind of hang together. But the difference is phonemic awareness is an awareness about units of sound, and phonological is kind of all of it. And then phonics is really when you transfer this understanding, this abstraction of sound, and you connect it to a symbol on a page. So they can now see, oh, the letter C represents the k sound in clock. The letter O represents the ah sound in clock. So those are kind of the differences. Now in our training, we're going to use that umbrella term phonological awareness because it's just a bigger umbrella. It encompasses all. And we're going to, and it's also the term that's used in the teacher's edition in our benchmark series. But second grade, you know, this year is a very unusual year. And second grade, there may not be a need in your class for phonological awareness instruction, but this year, like whole group instruction, but this year there might be. So we're going to kind of talk about how we can make that determination. And then, but it probably always exists as a need, at least like for small groups of students within your classroom. So we're going to look at some resources of where you can get some things to use to kind of help you with that. I would say in second grade, if you have kids that are reading above a level G, they probably have some level of phonological awareness that is fairly healthy. So that could kind of also maybe be a little bit of a first cut for you when thinking about who should I spend time with on this. And so you might want to think about it that way. Think about those kids that are reading like level G and above. That is probably evidence enough that they have some phonemic awareness, phonological awareness happening, and you may not need to teach whole group if most of your kids are reading above those levels. So now we're going to kind of move right into our phonological awareness. We're going to talk about 4 best practices that we've been reading about in some different sources that are new and thinking about phonological awareness and how it kind of fits in with our word work. So the first one, an environment rich with language and print, we're going to talk about that on the next slide. And it kind of goes along with like playing with sound and using poetry and music to kind of help provide experiences for kids to get that language in. The second practice that's great when you're teaching phonological awareness skills is to keep it playful and keep it short. None of your lessons really should be more than 5 minutes, more on the 3-minute side, the 2 to 3 minutes. So anywhere in between 2 to 5 minutes, that would be more than sufficient for phonological awareness. The third practice that's efficient and effective is you want to focus on the big two. So you want to focus on segmenting and blending. Those are the big deals that have such a big yield and are really powerful for students. So we're going to talk about that. And then you want to teach for awareness rather than mastery. So it's phonological awareness. They do not have to master different skills before moving on to something else, or master elements of phonology before being readers. So we want to keep that practice in mind as we plan. So as far as environment rich with language and print, here's some examples of how you kind of make that happen. You can look in your resource for poems that have a redundant line, like the Judith Bjorst poem, Since Hannah Moved Away. Every stanza ends with Since Hannah Moved Away. And they can kind of hear that rhythm and the rhyme that is here. The tires on my bike are flat. The sky is grouchy gray. At least it sure feels like that since Hannah moved away. So they can hear that rhythm and the similar sounds. And that is an element that develops phonological awareness and trains their ear for rhyme. Songs like Apples and Bananas. I love this one that plays with language, plays with sound so much. You guys know this one? I like to eat apples and bananas. I like to eat apples and bananas. I like to eat apples and bananas. So it changes those vowel sounds, and it's such a great playful way to play with language, and songs are just a rich way to play with language and sounds to help them build up for their phonological awareness. And then poems that have, of course, rhyme. They're great for transitions, but the more of these that you can teach them that they can recite, the more that language, that rhythm, those sounds get kind of ingrained, and you're providing and immersing them in language throughout your day in this way. Yes, one of my favorites. And then this picture here, I will say this picture is not from a Bakersfield City School District school. It was from good old Google. But I will say we put this picture up here. It's kind of a lot of environmental print, I would say. But I think we wanted to put it here and just think about your classroom, reflect on your classroom, and look around your room and think what is for the kids and what is for adults. And what we want to have in classrooms and environmental print is truly something that is usable for kids and accessible for kids. So you want to kind of reflect on that as you're thinking about what pieces of language and song and poems you're putting up and displaying in your room. Of course, you know, students that come into our schools that have more experience with language, that have like richer communication and more exchanges at home, like with family, as they come into our schools, those are the kids that have more readiness. And so this is one way, though, that we can kind of provide that for students that may not be coming in with language, is to just kind of immerse them in language, teaching them poems, songs, and doing it in a playful way, while also getting to developing their phonological awareness. So this is something that we can provide in class for kids that maybe don't have that experience at home. So Now we're going to talk about what you might have and what you might not have at your fingertips to help with incorporating phonological awareness lessons. So this is a snip, and this is a first grade lesson. And first grade, you guys are second grade, but first grade includes it at the beginning of every phonics lesson that they have. There's always a section that says phonological awareness, and it might be practicing the sounds they're going to work on blending or segmenting or maybe isolating a sound. But second grade, you guys don't have that, right? In your phonics lessons. You don't have that element in your phonics lessons. But we wanted to just show you, and many of you, if you're aware of this, give me a thumbs up. Okay, most people, it looks like everybody is aware of this advancing phonics skills. So we wanted to make sure that because just because this isn't in your teacher's edition doesn't mean that students might not need it. So we wanted to show you where you can go to find this. So if you go in benchmark, and you would actually go, like, I think you can click on second grade TE whole group unit 1, and you'll find the advancing phonics skills. And so this is we're going to click on instructional routines. And then when you click on instructional routines, remember when we read in the framework how it talked about that continuum. This is kind of like the continuum. So it's awareness of word is the biggest unit, and then it kind of goes down. And like I think someone had said, rhyme recognition. Why is rhyme so early? There, that's where that is. And then there's phoneme isolation, and here's segmentation and blending. So when you click on each of these, even though in second grade you don't have it as an element of your lesson, if you find whole group, it's needed. You have a place to go where you can find a routine for you to kind of be aware of and practice with. So what you don't have would be like a list of words to go with this. So that is as simple as like a Google search. Like you can say, you know, CBC words starting with M, or, you know, short vowel O words. So those are, I think those are kind of at our fingertips because we have the luxury of the internet. And even like little picture icons, if you need any of those with those routines, those are easy to find on the internet. Like you can search CBC icons, or what's it called? You know, what's it called? Icons, but not icons. Can't think of the word right now, but
like a meme?
Not a meme, but that's a good one. Oh my gosh, clip art. Clip art. You can just find simple clip art for you know, phonics patterns, or for pictures that can give them some practice with segmenting and blending. So I also want, in looking at this list, I just want to emphasize what the framework emphasized, which is this is not a list that where like they have to master word awareness before we can move on to rhyme recognition, or they have to master onset and rhyme segmentation before they move on to phoneme segmentation. So it doesn't work that way. This is like an approximate categorization of complexity as it grows, but it doesn't mean that you don't do one or over the other, or you stop your instruction because they haven't mastered one. So that doesn't kind of preclude, like it doesn't preclude moving on to something else. So and again, it's not a mastery list, it's an awareness skills. So our students, it's really about growing their awareness about sounds and patterns, not having them master them, because remember that circle, it's one part of 4 pre-reading skills that has to be approached and supported. So there was one other thing too I wanted to show you in routine 13, like phoneme categorization. You know, this exercise where you say, if I say moon, mat, and pin, would you tell me moon and mat start with the m sound, but that pin starts with the p sound? We thought it was kind of interesting, like if you choose to have kids categorize according to sound, we thought it was that one way we might adjust to this routine is to have picture icons or clip art to kind of go with it to anchor. So it just made us think as we were going through these routines, and as you explore these routines, you might want to think about some adjustments or modifications that could make them stronger, because we were just thinking about like language learners. We thought that was interesting that they wouldn't, you know, kind of suggest like a picture to go with that to kind of anchor the sound of the word to the picture to kind of help them. So what we're going to do right now, I want you to go ahead and open up Benchmark and find this resource. And then I'd like for you to print off 2 of these routines. So you're going to print segmentation and you're going to print blending. So go ahead and take a minute, get to that resource, print segmentation and print blending. Yes, Paige, they will totally be stronger in one area than another. And they never go in the order either that it says, that it kind of lays out in terms of complexity either. So I'll give you a second to do that. Let me go back in here to my presentation. And right now we're going to do a little bit of practice. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen. If I can find it. My little, here we go. You guys are, here we go. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, so now you can probably see my face. So I'm going to go ahead and just model that routine, the segmenting and the blending routine. And of course, the funny thing about like routines is whenever I have a paper in front of me, I always feel like I have to read it, but don't read it. What I'd like you to do, and I'm going to give you some time to do this, is to kind of like study it. I'm going to put you in a breakout room with a partner, just kind of study the routine. And then in your own words, just practice. You're going to practice the routine with a partner. So I'm going to practice on you right now. So it's segmenting and blending. Alicia put that in the chat. Thank you, Alicia. Yep, it's routine 11 and 12, segmenting and blending, because those are the big 2. And that was one of the things that we've been reading. We've been reading Wiley Blevin's book, and we're going to talk more about his book next time. And we've been reading Shifting the Balance. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book, but they talk about how these are really the big deals in terms of like phonological awareness skills for our kiddos for reading and writing. Okay, so for segmenting, I'm gonna try this with you. And what I'm gonna, many of you know this if you've been teaching 2nd grade or 1st grade, for several years, I'm sure you know, but whenever you're modeling an exercise where you're segmenting or blending, you always want to model with your opposite. So if I'm looking at myself and segmenting it for myself, I use my left hand and I go from left to right. But if I'm modeling it for the class, I always hold up my right fist, and then I turn the back of my hand to the class, and then I always start on the right side and move to the left, so they see it as left moving to right, the way print should see it. And if you're not used to it, it's just something that you have to practice, but you want to make sure that you're doing that so your kids are seeing the way the sounds move across space. Okay, so friends, today we're going to play a game. We're going to segment or take apart a word by each sound that's in the word. So I'm going to say a word, the word's rug. Now watch me and listen. I'm going to take apart the sounds in the word rug by saying them really slow. G. I can count the sounds, 1, 2, 3. G. There's 3 sounds in the word rug. Okay, now I want you to try it with me. It's my turn. Say rug. And then I'm gonna turn it over to you, and you guys can just say it out there in outer space where you're at. Say rug. Now, say the sounds in the word rug slowly and hold up a finger for every sound you hear. G. What's the word? Rug. Good job. Now, how many sounds are in the word rug? 3. That's right, boys and girls. Now it's your turn. Now I want you to say the word fetch. Say fetch. Now say fetch slowly and hold up 1 finger for every sound you hear. You guys do it. Good job. Oh, I see Sarah raising her fingers up and Susan's doing it. So how many fingers were you holding up, friends? 3 sounds in the word fetch. Okay, so that's phoneme segmentation. If you have been teaching 1st or 2nd grade for any amount of time, I'm sure you're very aware of that routine. But if you're not, that's what you would do. So then with blending, and you may do something different, but I like to do this pull across thing, kind of when they're blending, and then pull across. So now, today we're going to blend some sounds together and see if you can figure out the word I'm trying to say. Listen. Height. What's the word? Height. That's right. Now you say height. Say it together and tell me the word. Your turn. And pull it across. Okay, now I want you to listen as I blend these sounds. Ready? What's the word? You want me to try it again, Alyssa? You're like, I don't know.
I couldn't hear you at all.
Good job.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
When I get away from my computer, does it sound worse? Yes. Okay. You couldn't hear my whispery voice? All right, you ready? What do you guys think it is? I see Angie, she said spoon. All right. So I'm gonna put you guys in breakout rooms, just like 3 minutes. Just take some time looking at, and did I do those exactly the way they are on the page? Absolutely not. But take a few minutes to just study the routine, practice it. Partner 1, I'm gonna give you some words. Let me see. I'm going to give you some words that you can practice with. They're on the screen. If you have the presentation open, I'll put my screen back up. So you can have a partner that practices being the segmenting partner. You can have a partner that practices being the blending partner. And there's 3 words each for you to try. So let me go into breakout rooms. And it looks like, Alicia, how many participants do we have right now?
I believe, not including you or Miss Chapman, about 30.
30. Okay, so I'm going to put 15 breakout rooms, and you'll have a partner to kind of play with those routines and just kind of make the language your own, but include kind of the spirit of the steps that you find in those routines. All right, ready? We'll do about 3 minutes. Nope, we're not going to do that. Hang on a minute. I'm going to close that because that was the wrong way to do breakout rooms. Everyone go to one big room. Let me try it again. Let me see if I can, let's see, Alicia, how do I delete those breakout rooms?
Just when you do it, you just want to redo them all. So when it closes in 50 seconds, it'll give you more options.
Okay.
In 40 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, 40 seconds. Awesome. Okay. I did 2 rooms instead of 15 rooms. 2 rooms with 15 people in them.
Hey, that's how we have to teach it now, though. So that's okay.
I
I was about to say, our principal got us the Haggerty books.
I know a lot of people like having the Haggerty books. I like using like what they're also like doing in their reading or currently, and like connecting it, picking things that are as connected as possible to what they're doing.
What are Haggerty books?
Haggerty is it's like a phonemic awareness curriculum, like an ancillary.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm going to say 60% of my kids are at level A or lower.
Then this, it's a whole group lesson that you definitely want to add into your day.
I need to tell my boss to get me Haggerty books.
I would before you get Haggerty books, I would look at like how to connect it to what you're already doing, because like the more playful you can make it and the more connected you can make it to books they're reading, the better it's going to latch on.
Don't you think part of the reason why our kids struggle so much with onset and rhyme and rhythm is they've lost nursery rhymes?
That is
I'm
like,
old. I grew up with Hickory Dickory Dock, all of those things. My kids do not know nursery rhymes.
They don't know fairy tales either.
yeah, it's about, and that's part of that language rich environment, part of one of those 4 elements of pre-reading that they're not coming to school with. So we want to provide it for them.
No,
Well, I just think as a society, we've kind of drifted away from those childhood staples, and it's to the detriment of them in a literary sense, I think. Or maybe I'm just a viewer and I like those.
That's why we want to be mindful about putting it back in there. So I'm going to send you to your breakout rooms. You guys can have a little bit of practice time. Let's see if I got everybody right.
We tried, it kicked us out.
It did.
No, people are going.
Yeah, it looks like people are going. I'm going to change Mary Ann. Christine, you're probably not going to go in one. So I'm going to move Mary Ann to room 7.
I'm going to go try to find, special ed teachers should have access to benchmark. Shouldn't they?
Christine, they should, right?
Yes, but I will tell you that if they're new to special ed, they may have to put in a CS support to be
Okay.
tagged towards certain grade levels.
Yeah, this is my 3rd year. I had it before. I know when I was at Stella Hills, I had it, and I had it here, but I don't have it now for some
You know
reason.
what? Put in an email to CS support and let them know what grade levels that you work with, and they should be able to give you access. Mrs. Igoa, I have to ask you, are you a
I know.
former Rush parent?
I am. Yeah.
Vincent.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I am Coach Chapman's wife.
Oh my gosh, I love him. Oh
So
man.
do I.
You have to tell him hi. Yeah.
I
He's
will.
he is a great mentor. Him and Eric Mahinke did amazing for Vincent.
Oh, it was
And
so
that's
much
why
fun.
he's doing so well because of them.
It's awesome.
Yeah. That's such a small world.
It is.
Well,
It's so
I was
good
in
to see you.
I don't mean to change the subject, but I was in a breakout room and it was only me.
It's
Oh, no,
because you're my
she's
partner.
Danielle is your buddy. She's right here.
Oh, hi, Danielle.
Do you guys still have the join option on your screen?
I did join and I was in there by myself. So I just came back out of it. It was kind of
I mean,
weird.
But is it still on there now? Like, can you join again?
I don't think so. No.
You should see
Danielle?
you see the breakout room icon at the bottom of your
No.
screen?
Oh, I do.
So
Hopefully you
if
can
and-
join.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you and Danielle join that, then you guys will be together.
I was just about to go into mine, but I don't know where she went.
Oh, did she,
So I
Danielle?
hit breakout rooms at the bottom then?
Yeah.
Okay. And then CS support though, what email is that?
You go CS and then the word support, CSSUPPORT@bcsd.com.
Paige, Danielle had a question, so she didn't join yet.
I was going to say, it's a
You're
party
like,
of
"I
one. Party of one.
So I'm gonna hit breakout rooms at the bottom again.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay, try it
Okay.
again.
I'm gonna join mine real quick.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I have Alicia Areola.
Yay for you. I noticed that. And I noticed all your cameras are on, so I figured you're good.
Yes, when I had them when I had them reading something, I said, "You're welcome to turn your camera off," and only one person did, and then she got it right back on.
That's good. Okay, well, you seem to have a handle. I'm going to go back in and then check on Stephanie because I don't know if she had somebody else. It was these are very small groups.
They're small, and the hang on just a second. Like,
Okay.
I need to. I get all flustered and I cannot find my control panel. Does that ever happen to you?
Yes.
There it
And
is.
then you're just like, and it's like, where is it?
Yes, I am.
One.
Oh, thank you, Alicia. All right, so, Lori, you're, did you think of moves because you saw this slide, make your move? I like to move it. The other thing to practice, so hopefully you got a little bit of practice, or if you didn't have a chance to practice, at least you maybe could read through or think about how it compares to the procedure that you use, or the routine rather. So another thing that is really helpful that kind of helps kids anchor to the sounds, because the sounds are so abstract, and that's phonological awareness is just sound. There's no anchor to a letter or a word at this point. So anchoring it to a physical movement can be really, really helpful. So people probably have different systems, and in the past, our district would really try and make like kind of this uniformity in moves, or hand gestures or signals for people. But I think really the biggest deal is that you pick movements and they make sense and you're consistent with it. So for 3 examples, like whenever you have movement or associate movement, it can really help your kids' memory, so that movement kind of anchors their memory. So it's just a really powerful strategy. So one example is like counting words. So if you have kids that don't have word awareness, which on that kind of continuum or the list of skills, it's the easiest one or the least, they say the least like sophisticated skill. So that's like when kids are writing and they can't hear those words in their sentences. So you might want to give them some lessons on how to kind of, when they're saying a sentence, identifying those words. And so the movement you might have is a tap on the table. She runs fast. So it might be, their hand just slapping the table. So that's a movement that I like to use to help the kids anchor to develop that word awareness as they're trying to write a sentence down. For syllable, my move that I like to use is a clap. So when a child says, how do you write the word computer? Computer. So let's say the syllables first. Computer, and we clap it. And then that kind of is a great anchor for them to then say, you can say the first clap, and then they can use that and anchor it as they're writing. So that phonological awareness skill gives them an on-ramp to now put it in print once they have those connections made. So syllable, word is, my move is tap. Syllable, my move is clap. And sound, for segmenting sound, my move is holding up that finger, the finger's a mirror image to the student. So, I should have thought of that one. That's got 5 sounds. So those are my moves. So what are some of your moves? I know Lori said that she likes the move from Haggerty. Lori, do you want to unmute and just share one move that you like and what it stands for? Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Lori. I didn't notice that.
No, are you talking to me? Sorry, I just used the restroom.
I was just wondering if you wanted to share one move that you liked in Haggerty, because you had said that you liked those moves.
I like them all. But like when we segment, instead of doing the fingers or pulling, which I like both, I like that because that's the new one that we do chopping. So we might say like shape, and then we swipe it, but the kids, we do it all together. Or I'll do shape, and then they go shape. So they're blending it together. Or cloudy, and then they go cloudy.
So word parts or
yes, you're taking the phoneme away. Without the E, the new word is cloud, and then you're taking away whichever. Obviously, I'm probably gonna be backwards. It's their favorite time of the day. I mean, I say it over and over again. It's my favorite time of the day because they're so engaged. They stand up the whole time, socially distanced, and it's fun. It's really fun. Every week is like a new. This is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every day is like 3 new activities, and then they repeat, but they're just different. Kind of changes it up so it's not the same mundane thing every day.
So I like those different moves. So what I want you guys to do right now is just think about what your moves might be, like for word awareness, syllable, and sound. So just take a few moments and think about, like, what would you do? What can you be consistent with that's unique? Because like, as Lori said, like this one was a unique move from this. So, and are they consistent in those moves, Lori, with the type of?
Yeah, it was hard. I would say the first 2-3 weeks, but we're on week right now. We're on week 5. because I didn't start it for the first few weeks. And they got it. They got it. In fact, I've had my like junior teacher, because I'm a junior teacher every day, they come up and they help me do it.
So I would think about like what your moves might be as you're kind of engaging in your phonological awareness lessons, your segmenting routines, your syllable routines, and just kind of in your mind, think about what kind of move that you want to have in place and be consistent with. So just want to put that there. And then I'm sure you've heard of Elkonin boxes, but just like movement can be an anchor for children, an Elkonin box, a space for them to think about a representation of sound, and pictures can also anchor. So I was going to share with you, like when you're having kids think about, thinking about like how sounds are different. This is skate, star, shirt. Which one has a different sound? Shirt at the beginning. And the anchor of a picture, it can be really helpful for our language learners, but not just our language learners, just all of our learners. So, and then we saw this really cute little thing. It was like little, I think it was like in Lakeshore, where the kids use themselves almost like as an Elkonin box, and they move up into the square, but you don't need to buy anything fancy, especially if you have one of these little square rugs. They can move up into the square as you segment sounds. And of course, this doesn't work for the audience. This works for the 3 kids that are there, because the audience, it would be flipped for the audience. So that might not be something that you do for your whole group. And then I'm going to play you this little routine that this teacher uses for Elkonin boxes. I'm sure she filmed these for virtual class. Can you guys hear that, first of all? Could you hear it? No? Okay, hang on a minute. It's video settings, right?
When you share your screen, did you choose to share sound?
Maybe not. I always, and it's in security, right?
No, just when you go open the share screen, and at the bottom, when you choose the screen you want to share, at the bottom, there's like little choices where it says share sound.
Thank you.
And you would just click the box.
I know, I would just click the box, except
so when you hit share screen, did it pop up? Okay, yay.
Thank you, Alicia. All right, okay, you guys ready? Let me rewind it.
Let's take a word and pull the sounds apart. Tell me the word and then we'll start. I'm going to tell you a word. Then I'll tell you the sounds. Then you're going to do it by yourself. Pan. P. An. Your turn. Say pan. Did you say the 3 sounds? Moose. My turn. Moose. Now it's going to be your turn to say the 3 sounds. Say moose. Sound moose. Did you say the 3 sounds? Dog. My turn. D-og. Your turn. Say dog. Sound dog.
So I'm going to stop it right there, but you can see it's a 2-minute video. That could be something that done in person, it would just be a couple minutes. You can do it on your whiteboard or your smart board, whiteboard maybe with magnets. And if and when you are able to do small groups again, this is a great small group activity for listening and watching kids as they push those abstract sounds and push a representation for that sound up into the box. And you can really see if they're able to kind of separate or understand. So that is kind of anchoring with Elkonin boxes. These little black and white icons she uses, or clip art pieces that she uses, probably came from her Phonics series. We have some, we have some of those resources that are in that Phonics, Advanced Phonics support book that I showed you earlier. And or it's just easier probably to just search online and get a list, get some icons from something that already exists out there, or clip art that already exists out there. But pictures are a big deal in helping our kids anchor and understand the idea of word and how sounds are within the word. So, and then with blending and segmenting, those big two ideas, you really want to reinforce the reciprocity and the idea that it can happen throughout the day in reading opportunities and segmenting opportunities. So one of the things, phonological awareness is the absence of letter, or that letter sound connection. But the most efficient and effective way is to directly bring that work that you're doing with phonology skills and bring it to print as soon as you can. So in blending, we teach them oral blending so that it can be practiced as they're blending words in a book or on a page. We practice oral segmenting because that supports their word writing. So here's an example of like a shared message, or where the teacher shares the pen, and they wrote, "Dear class, today is Thursday. We do not," and she just had 3 blank lines here, and then they stretched and segmented and recorded what they heard. So they took this phonological skill and then anchored it directly to print. And so that's what helps it stick and makes it efficient and effective. Let's see, how am I on time? I'm terrible on my time. So as far as assessment goes, assessment can be done formally and informally throughout the day. There are resources here, like in your BASS book, where you can hold up a picture of a cat and have them write it, and then count how many phonemes are they getting. This is anchoring it to letters, which is a phonics thing, but that indicates if they have phonological awareness in terms of segmenting and recording the sound. So it's blended in and intertwined with the action. And then when you do your BASS, you can, as you're listening to them read, you can look at how they're blending together words that are, that they can sound out. And then you know that that phonology support of blending, those structures are translating how we want them to, which is in their reading. And then with a piece of writing, this writing says, "Penguin loved to go in the water, but sometimes leopard seal was in the water. Then penguin went in the water. They became friends." You can look at this piece of writing and you can right away see they have a healthy amount of phonological awareness. This child, do we necessarily need to teach them those structures of phonological awareness? Not necessarily, because they've got it. They've got that segmenting, they've got the blending. Okay, So now we wanted to put up, here's just an idea for scheduling, like for second grade, 3 to 5 minutes you could spend on a Monday with like phoneme isolation, or maybe categorizing sounds or rhyme patterns. And then Tuesday, you might do some phoneme blending routines, segmenting routines on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, rhyming or maybe phoneme substitution. And then you might revisit blending and segmenting on a Friday. So there's just kind of an idea of a schedule. And then I'm gonna cut right over into our high frequency words. But these are kind of the things that we talked about. So as you're thinking about our phonological awareness section, these are kind of like a summary of all of the things, the strategies and the practices that we had talked about. The pitfalls for phonological awareness are this. And as I'm reading them, I want you to think about if there's a pitfall that you fall into and how you can maybe think about attacking that pitfall to climb yourself out of it and refocus your energy with phonological awareness on where you would like it to be. So some pitfalls are, there is not enough focus on the power skill of oral blending and segmenting. Sometimes people spend lots of time doing different skills or maybe kind of trying to work their way down that continuum, but it's not necessary. These two are the big deals. So that's where you kind of want to spend time. Sometimes we forget and we don't provide anchors or hand signals or support to kids when we're teaching phonemic awareness. So if that's a pitfall for you, just try and be more mindful and intentional about providing those. Not integrating letters into a more sophisticated phonemic awareness activity. So taking that, doing that phonemic awareness task and connecting it right away to letters is a big deal in cementing their awareness. And then improper sequencing of activities. I think it's about listening to your kids and figuring out what they need instead of going through a linear list. And then the other pitfall, and this is a really big pitfall, is doing phonemic awareness well past the time that students need. Use some things, use some assessment pieces, look at their writing, listen to their reading, and determine, does my whole group need this? Or just do some of my kids need this? And that will be a more efficient use of their time and your time. So moving on to high frequency words. High frequency words, I'm going to be a little speedy, and then we can maybe retouch on some things in our next segment in November. But high frequency words, there is a list that we use from our BAS, and it's here. I know you're probably all familiar with these words, but these words are here because they are words that most often appear in our BAS books, our guided reading books. And sometimes people say, why are words that are decodable on this high frequency list? And decodables are on the high frequency list because it's a word that frequently occurs in books that students are learning how to read. So in terms of high frequency words, the framework says that there is a systematic way you can teach high frequency words or irregular words. And so we're going to talk about some of the strategy that you can use that kind of helps children kind of cement their understanding of high frequency words. And this quote down here by Wiley Blevins, he says, most students need 8 to 12 exposures to commit a word to memory, but struggling students need 50 or more. I have always heard that quote and I always forget what the repetition is, but I just think that's such a powerful quote that I always kind of have in the back of my mind when I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, it's the word the. Why can't you get the word the? It's just THE. But sometimes our kids need more, and sometimes some kids need even more than 50. So that is a big deal because it's one of the efficient things, or one of the things that's a best practice, is to make sure that it's embedded and you're revisiting those words that have already been taught as you go through your year. So we identified 5 best practices for high frequency words. The first one is kind of focused on the earliest words that kids know or should know. So we were reading about how these 13 words are make up 25% of the text in commonly read books in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, really in texts that any of us read. So that's a really big deal. These 13 words making up 25% of text they read, if we know that they know these words, that is a big deal for our kids. Assessment with high frequency words is your friend, and we're going to talk about how you can do just a simple dictation, and that can help you figure out, maybe using this word list, where to start. Where do my kids need to start? What do they know already? What do they not know? And then when you're teaching high frequency words, you want to attend to the letter sound connections that do exist. There's irregularities in high frequency words, like the word stud, for example. The AI say that's irregular, but there is regularity in the sound for S and the sound for D, and those are things that you want to call attention to. You want to keep it playful and short. Maybe an introduction of new words is 10 minutes, and then you want to maybe spend 5 to 7 minutes on playing with those words each day in the week. And then you want to call attention to high frequency word learning throughout the day, just incidental as you go on. Okay, so Wiley Blevins, I mentioned him before, but he has a word learning routine that we thought was really great. And we linked it here. And it's called the Read, Spell, Write, Extend. And I just want you to know that it's linked there. And we're going to go through it just really quickly. But basically, what I love about what Wiley Blevins says is he talks about how high frequency words really need to have 3 levels or exposures of meaning. It's about meaning, letter, and sound. So if you compare the high frequency word routine in Benchmark, it kind of leaves out meaning. It leaves that out. So he kind of says it's 3 ways words are stored: sound, meaning, and letters. So here's his procedure. He starts with a sentence, like on a card like this. And so you read the sentence, I am from America. This is the word from. Say from. This is how you spell the word from. F-R-O-M. Spell it with me. F-R-O-M. What's the first sound that we would see? You would see an F, right? Does that match what we see here? The next sound, fr. I hear an R. Does that match what we see here? Yes. Fra. That does not match what I see. I'm going to put a little heart above this sound because that's something that I'm going to have to know that by heart. And let's finish. From. I hear an sound and I see good job. Now I'm going to write it. You get ready to write too. So using your whiteboard, you got your whiteboard and your marker. Now I want you to watch as I write the word from. F-R-O-M. Now I want you to have your turn. I want you to write the word from. You might write it really tiny. up on your board, you might write it down here in the middle, F-R-O-M. But I want you to say the word, say the letters, and write it at least 3 times anywhere on your board. Say the letters and write the word from. Okay, and then I am going to add this to my word wall right back here. So this is the list of words that we're learning this week. Some of these are high frequency. I'm going to put it right here. And then at the, and then that's going to go where my new words go. So that kind of provides a little anchor. So there's a little meaning anchor. And then you can ask the kids to extend the sentence and make it their own. Now, boys and girls, I want you to finish this sentence. I am from, Now you turn to a partner and finish that sentence. I am from. So then they would have the opportunity to extend that sentence into something known to them. So you might have noticed that I wrote a little heart above that O because it doesn't have a regular sound, a conventional sound that matches that letter that we know. So I think this is in, it came from, it's a phonics intervention, and I forgot the name of it right now, but they call them flash words and heart words, because with those high frequency words, there are words that are so frequently used in writing that kids just need to be able to read them in a flash. And sometimes those are decodable high frequency words like in, can, not, and did. So with they call those flash words. And then sometimes there's heart words. So words that have sounds that are not decodable, they have irregular spellings. And if you do an instructional sequence like that, call attention to what is known and what is decodable, it can help anchor the student's understanding of the word. So with the word because is a heart word. Oops. Because is a heart word, the AU may not be known to your second graders. So you may have a heart over that AU because that is kind of an irregular spelling for them. Now, the thing about heart words is that you may have heart words might be different at different times of the year. So for example, if you have already taught that S can make that Z sound, it might not be a heart over the S, but you might drag a heart over that S if it is not known to them. So it would become a heart sound. So that's just kind of one way that they can anchor to that, give them a strategy to kind of help them understand. So them is decodable, it would be a flash word, but when you don't hear the H, and who, you don't, the O says a different sound and you don't hear the W, the only sound you hear is the H. So that might be a strategy that you use. I want to play this video, which I love. And this gives you a great, hang on a minute, friends. This gives you a great, can you guys see that? Yeah, okay. This is a great routine for high frequency word learning in small group, but I want you to think about what you could take away from this and blend into your whole group instruction. So here you go.
After students have read their new book, teach them a new sight word from their story. Teaching the word after they have read the book gives students an opportunity to read the word several times before you teach them to write it. This makes it easier for them to learn the word. Here we will show you the 4 steps for teaching the new word. These 4 activities provide for gradual release of responsibility In step 1, students will play What's Missing. Write the word or make it with magnetic letters. Tell students the word and ask them to look at each letter as you slowly slide an index card left to right across the word to help them attend to left to right sequencing. Erase or remove a letter and ask, what's missing? As the students tell you the missing letter, place it back in the word. Repeat the process several times, removing one or more letters, calling on a student each time to tell you what's missing. Because children think it's a game, they will pay attention and look closely at the word. Step 2 is mix and fix. Have students take the magnetic letters off their trays to make the word. They can use your model if necessary. Have the students slide the letters to the left or up, looking carefully at the sequential order of the letters. Teach students how to check the word by sliding their finger under the letters as they read it. Have the students mix up and remake the word several times. In step 3, cover up the words with an index card and then have students write the word on the table with their finger as they say the word in a natural way. Let them peek under the card if they forget how to write the word. This tactile activity helps them build a memory trace for the word. Step 4 is write it and retrieve it. Students write the word on a dry erase board. If they need help remembering, tell them to say the word slowly as they write it. Listening for the sounds will help them remember the letter sequence. Later, when they have developed a stronger system for remembering, they will not need to do this step. Ask them to write it quickly without stopping. Discourage naming the letters, W, E, N, T. You want them to learn the word as a complete unit, went. Now ask them to write a different word, one they know well. Have them write the new word again. This helps the students put the new word into long-term memory. If you follow these 4 steps to teach new sight words and review them each day at the beginning of your guided reading lesson, you will be amazed at how well students are able to use these words as they read their books and write stories.
So I just love, let's see. Let me snap here. So I really love that as an example, like especially that the what's missing strategy that can actually fit into Wiley Blevin's read, write, and say strategy that we talked about earlier. So my friends, we are out of time. It is 4:43. We have 2 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reserve, because there's just a couple things that I'd like to share with you, but I'm going to roll those over into our session next week. Or I'm sorry, next month. And so I'm going to, and if you want to kind of look at some of those slides, you are welcome to, if you've made a copy of the presentation and kind of saved it. I'm going to drop the evaluation link in the chat really quick. And then, let me see. Let me grab it. So next month when we come together, the topic is going to be phonics. So it's going to be all about taking our work to phonics and some phonics practices. And we're going to try and gamify phonics as much as we can and think about how to make it playful and light. But and then I'll just add some of the content, because I did want to share with you like a little schedule that we put together. Consider having a word wall in your room and how to organize it so that you can always have something to go back to help review words with your kiddos, especially words that have been taught. We don't want to let those words go. So as you're filling out that link for the evaluation, I'm just going to read you a quote. It's at the very end of our presentation, and it's by Irene Fountas and Gesu Pinnell, because there's been so much talk and polarization lately about like science of reading versus balanced literacy. And so I love what she says here. She says, over the decades, belief about the right way to teach reading have vacillated widely from rigidly scripted phonics approaches that have the potential to take the interest and joy out of reading to romantic approaches that seem to expect children to figure it out themselves while having pleasurable literacy experiences.
This is the wrong link.
It
For the
is.
eval. Yeah, it's for
Yeah,
Bass Like a
Bass Like a
Boss
Boss.
in September.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oopsie. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you did. You know what? We saw that and then we were like, oh, darn. And then guess what? Something else happened and it flew right out of our brain.
That's teaching, right?
That is teaching. I probably had to go sub somewhere and I completely forgot about it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, please don't fill that out right now. And then I'll just email you all the links. Thanks for letting me know.
I mean, you could just check the dates from today on. It would be for this training if you really wanted it.
Alicia, I don't know how to do it. Do you know how? Tina Mendez always sets up our evals and I don't know how, I'm not sure how to do it.
Well, what I do is if you have the same one, you just like copy the form that has all the evals. You would just copy it twice and delete everyone else's before it, but you don't have to do that.
Okay, I'm afraid.
She's right, though. At the last slide, there is a link on the presentation.
Yep, to an eval.
Woohoo!
Is that the right eval, Angie?
Yes, because you can pick whatever date you like. So travel in the future. We will rate you for later future references today.
Wait,
By the way, you're going to be awesome.
I know, where's it at?
yeah,
So
where'd
the
you
last
find it?
page of in the presentation, the second to the last slide.
Try clicking on that one. Hopefully that one works.
I'm awake now.
I don't
Yeah,
see
I
it.
see it. I see it.
Ooh, does someone want to drop it in the chat for me? You know what I think? Stephanie's on this right now doing it with first grade, and I bet she probably got to it before me. And
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. She probably realized, oh, darn it, we didn't switch that up. Thank you, Alicia and Sarah, I appreciate it. So there's your eval. We are 3 minutes over time. I really appreciate you spending time with me today, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you all next month. There it is. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Alicia, thank you for being